the total ultimate definition of hypocrisy and double standards. I honor those that are watching from a benevolent space of your heart. To you, I hope that you are well. The decent beings in this universe that are not out here in these here streets, even if it's secretly out here in these here streets, um, causing mayhem, catastrophe, tragedies, pains, and sufferings for hire, for shits and giggles, and for highs. To you all, I wish you well. All right, the title says they don't like disrespect, but they are disrespectful. They don't like disrespect, but they are disrespectful. Now, let me give an example. And I'm religion now. I'm gonna go religious. I'm gonna go with mainstream religions, okay, versus those out there that are spiritual, but from spiritual to Gnostic to atheist, okay, because we have all types of walks of life out here, and it's all valid. The only thing I can offer with that is, as long as it's not violating innocent. Okay, that's the best way I can put it. It's all valid. Do we all have to like it and or agree? No, but it's all valid. Okay. And some of us, some folks, I should say, end in assumption in their lives, in assumption, presumption, because their framework don't allow them to see something past how they see it, and how they were taught it. And so they could be misinformed and assuming a whole lot of things based on that misinformation. The title says they don't like disrespect, but they are disrespectful. I'm going to give an examples to make it real. I love making things as tangible as I can, because most of us humans, that's how we're able to connect and make sense of it. Sometimes my examples are extreme, but sometimes that works as well because it snaps us out of that daze. Okay. Um, they don't like the disrespect, but they're disrespectful. Case in point, I grew up Christian. Okay. I grew up, well, I'm going to say my early years, I was raised by my grandmother, but anyway, it was First Baptist, and then it went to, I remember all the different phases we went through. And so we ended in a Pentecostal church by the time, she passed away. But then, let's just say, I was even a part of a drill team that was Christian based. Another video. Listen. Let's just say, okay, I grew up Christian. Now, as was mofos, we're not going to get into that on this video, because I seen a whole lot of shit as a little girl. Okay. And I'm not just talking about from my household. I'm talking about from the leaders, authority figures, and things that I was exposed to. Okay? So a whole lot of shiz. And we all claimed we were Christians. Now, they don't like disrespect, but they are disrespectful. Viewer discretion is advised. Of course, this is not everybody walking the planet who claims a belief system of sorts, because I've come across decent people. I've come across folks in various backgrounds who they hold themselves up to the same standard, if that makes sense. They may not agree, but they don't go out their way trying to make waves and problems for people who don't believe like they do. You see where I'm going? They're not going around like a vigilante calling it some kind of ministry. You know what I'm trying to say? Trying to make sure that these heathens, bitch, to to make sure that these Philistines do not have the same resources, opportunities, as, you see what I mean? So I have had the honor. I have So I am not implying that everyone who claims a certain religious background operates this way. I'm referencing the ones that this applies to, period. Okay? The ones, the individuals, the groups, the organizations, the companies, the relatives, the exes, the folks you grew up with. I'm referencing those. These are folks that will troll your social media and type out the whole Bible, which is a form of harassment. It's actually a form of disrespect. I guarantee you, if you or the viewer or whoever that's different than them were to sit up there in Hoover and troll all these mofos, little social medias, as they're doing their ministries or their teachings, and put whole topics and paragraphs in the comment box about how unenlightened and colonized and asleep they are, they would have a bitch fit. They would start rebuking devils, getting holy water. Hell, some of them, listen, some of them are in here as I speak, or hoovering in and out, projecting negative energy towards me and my son. Yeah. Ignorance. They don't like disrespect, but they are disrespectful. So if you were to, even in conversation, let's say you're enlightened and you're on a different path, but you're not, let's say you're not projecting this onto people. Let's say you're not taking every fucking waking moment, bitch, nigga, every birthday party, every fucking bar mitzvah, funeral, graduation, every misfortune to slide on in and say, this is happening because. So let's say you don't do that. Let's say just because that's where you've managed to land, you're not going around, you're just like, it's okay. It's not even in a mockery, funny kind of vibe or a snooty, nose uppery. It's just kind of like, that's still a person. And I still, if you know them, like, I still like them, I still love them. This is not a comparison. This is not what this is. This is not what this is. This is still a person that I care for, that I like, that I love, that I vibe with. And I honor them as an autonomous, sovereign individual. And I'm not going to violate or exploit their life, their highs, their lows, their situation, whatever my perception is of things. I'm going to honor them. And I'm not going to sit there and do zingers and subliminal messages, discrediting as I'm talking to them. I don't know about nobody else, but as for me, I'm free. I ain't colonized. If you were to say something like that, they would take, even if they didn't say anything, because it depends on what the temperaments are and stuff like that, but they would take that as like, what you trying to say? What you trying to say? Blaspheme. What are you trying to say? Sacrilegious or whatever, would come up in them for you, insinuating mockery, derision at what they believe. They don't like that. They don't take well to that. And if they have any money, power, position, authority in life whatsoever, they're going to exploit that about what they have. That's going to be their passive aggressive way of a lick back. Why? Because you were disrespectful. They deem that snarly under the cuff subliminal, they deem that as an insult to their relationship with God, as an insult to their faith, as an insult to what they've believed all their lives for some. But they're disrespectful. See, a lot of the let me just have mercy. Help my Okay. For me, I am somebody who, I love the idea of helps. I think I've been that way for a very long time unofficially. Anything to do with empowerment and helping the people. I've always liked that. Especially displaced, disenfranchised, vulnerable, targeted, especially the populations that are more susceptible and always loved even the idea of faith-based things, because again, this is not about trying to imply that something is bad in and of itself. This is implying about how many that are in certain positions who happen to be these things are creating problems. I've always been that way, and I've actually always been, believe it or not, even on the other side of the path there, still one that operated from the vein of honor to all and liberty and freedom and justice to all and honor. So in other words, I wasn't fixing to be, that wasn't my vibe. It was never my vibe. It was never, once a person communed with me where they stood on something, that didn't stop me from continuing to love on them. It didn't stop me from, I didn't get weird or brand new. I kind of just like, this is a person. And give them a hug, and you don't know, and shut up. And shut up. Stop always trying to turn and stop being coat-like. Stop being a predator. Stop that. Anywho. The double standard, the oblivion, the problem that I have now, the reason why there is such hesitancy, because church and government needs to be separate. I heard somebody on a TikTok platform talking about that something needs to be established where because not because there's an agenda. See, then there's an agenda that should not be a part of something that's for the helps industry. The reason why some people would prefer to go to secular systems to get support and help is because even though they may very well still have their corruptions or their issues, it's not to say that they're void. It's simply that you won't end up being like a target of somebody trying to colonize you. You won't be some kind of you won't end up stepping into a damn coat just to get some assistance. You won't be dealing with somebody casting a spell on you. At least, yeah, I'm going to say 50-50 because like I said, it's not to say that they don't have their own forms and versions of corruptions there. But, that every little thing, because whether people want to acknowledge and I guess what the fuck, it's spells called prayer. You won't have to worry about the reason why people will lean there, because you don't have to worry about somebody taking advantage of your misfortune. Taking advantage of your vulnerability or that of your children. Yeah, they're going to deal with me. You won't have to worry about that being exploited for them to do their magic. Every bag of grocery they give you is with a spell, and every 2 sentences is some kind of spell phrase. You get a higher probability of dealing with somebody that's just going to be a normal fucking human. For 5 minutes. Now, like I said, all these places sometimes come with their own set of issues, lots of presumptions about who you are and what got you there based on what they perceive. In some cases, in the lies they were told. And the ignorance that they play on regarding everyone else. They don't like disrespect, but they themselves are disrespectful. To mock you and who you are, what you stand for, and what you believe is equally valid. They're not better than you. I don't care if they have a job and you don't. They're still not better than you. And that still does not give anyone the right to be derisive towards you because of how they feel. And it's usually due to a video I just uploaded. I uploaded a short by someone who is a narcissistic abuse survivor, but they, are thriving, and they ended up creating a program, and they talk a lot about different personality, antagonistic, and kind of their behavior tendencies. And one of them is the fact that they have a tendency to mock. And he talked about how sometimes it's deeper than what we know and the rest of the world knows. Sometimes they're jealous of the very thing. It's not too different than high school or junior high school. If we go back to some of this stuff that we think grown-ups outgrew because they aged. I had people teasing me as a little girl. Listen, I had people way older. As a little girl, we're not talking about people that was just my age, which, you know what I'm saying? That makes sense because, kids could be cruel, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I have folks that were much, much older than me, that were, in some cases, either they were late teens or in some cases grown. Okay. Teasing little girl me. Okay. You ought to hear me now, but just go there. Go back. Teasing little girl me. Okay, little girl me. So let's go 11, 12, 13. Okay, let's go there. Little, that's a little girl. First and foremost, the one that I thought was my mother or birther, I never knew why she would always tease me. And there was this movie called Dark Crystal, and there was this character on Dark Crystal that apparently I looked like. Okay, and she had like these pointy ears, and I don't know, but it became a thing. And so she would tease me. She'd be like, "Kidda, kidda," referring to me. Now that's from the mother. But then, like I said, I had other older that would tease me about my eyes, or just different things like that. Yeah, older people who should have fucking knew better. This is going to all go together, believe it or not, because we're talking about they don't like disrespect, but they themselves are disrespectful. I was a little girl. I was a teenage little girl, 11, 12, 13. That's a fucking kid. So people were jealous. See, we be thinking that this stuff, it's unfortunate, but when you got a bunch of wounded, colonized, traumatized mofos raising chop, and got a bunch of those mofos around, and if there's a child that's gifted or a child that's got some kind of je ne sais quoi, bitch, some kind of something, bitch, okay, that rubs up against that old wounded person, that older person. This is the manifestation of that since it ain't on TV, nobody fucking ever knows that. Clowning, just saying stuff. Tell me more about my eyes. So they're jealous of my eyes. A little girl. Remember, go back. We're referencing 11, 12, 13. A child. I had another incident that happened. Believe it or not, like I said, I'm going to tie it all in. We are going somewhere. We're going to fast forward. And what does that have to do with now and how it applies and what I'm talking about? As I turned maybe 14, I might have been 14. Actually, this happened at the location that I just took my son to a little bit earlier today, that we lived there. This is after my grandmother passed. I started to blossom by then, which is natural, no? I was starting to blossom, coming into my own, age 14. One time we had a friend of the family, someone that we called like cousin. We considered them family because of, you know, how long we had known each other and growing up like in the same neighborhood, you know, stuff like that. Same drill team. And so there, you know, some, we have these types of connections that you stick, you visit, you know, stuff like that. And so I can't recall, because I'm 50 now. Whew, I can't recall why, you know, because, you know, I think either my older sister could have been in town or maybe visited or something, and then so they visited, and then okay, so they were there. I don't know if it was overnight or for what, but oh my gosh, this is crazy. I started coming into my own. I started developing, okay? So my little shape had to start, because I was fucking string bean, okay? Bony as hell, bitch. You know, my whole life. And it's like, okay. And I was barely starting to get some semblance of some freaking curves. Barely. Okay. And so, and I think I had on a swimsuit, because I don't know if I think me and my little sister could have had went, because we was always doing something with we was always doing something with either the neighbors and what they was doing with the motorcycle gang and shit. We would go places. So I think we had went to a beach or something, because I had on a swimsuit. I had a bikini, and I just can't, I'm sorry, I apologize, I can't remember the full reasons, but me and my younger sister back then, we who knows, we could have went somewhere with the neighbors and they folks. It could have had yeah. So I remember this friend of the family who we refer to like cousin. Okay, I think I even had a picture taken with this particular person. Yeah, I can see it. And I had dookie braids. Good gravy, God. Oh, anyway, I'm going getting taken right way back. I'm like, oh my gosh. So now she made a comment, and it was like kind of made lightheartedly, you know, because she was 5 or 6 years ahead of me, because she was up there with my older sister. Okay, so I don't know how this came to be, but she looked me up, kind of up and down or whatever. She said something about cute or something like that. She was like, little bitch or something, but it was said kind of funny. But still, I'm still a young girl, okay? At the time, I'm 14, not 50. See how all these little seeds were already being sown? Like there was even if it was done in a Now, how does this tie in? I said I was going to tie it in. How does any of this tie into the title? They don't like disrespect, but they are disrespectful. If I would have ever behaved like any of these people towards them, it would have been said, and they would have said it from the mountaintop, depending on their temperaments, that I was being disrespectful. Okay? This is the problem with abusive personality types and title types. Listen, whether folks are narcissistic or not, we're not going to even really go there. We're just going to say abusive entitled types that feel like it is okay for them to conduct and behave in certain ways, and it is not okay for others to do the same. This applies to everything. You don't want no one talking no trash about your religion. You shouldn't talk trash about someone else's beliefs that they may hold valuable to them. You don't want somebody picking and teasing at, we have to, this is where the real maturity comes in. This is what separates men from boys and women from girls, not them zeros behind them accounts. Not who's got property and who don't. It's behavior, it's the attitudes, it's conduct, it's the secret things that nobody knows about, and it's all of it, okay? You want something honored about you, you honor it about the other person. You don't want someone to intrude on you, you don't intrude on the other person. You don't want someone to assume that, give you unsolicited, unwelcomed, uninvited advice. You don't do it. You don't want someone judging you wrongly based on their screwy brains or their perceptions of shit. Then you don't do it. You don't want someone exploiting your life and using it as a soapbox for their own personal ministry. You want someone to be able to show up and be human, then fucking show up and just be fucking human. You don't want somebody to be insensitive to your children, insensitive to what's happened to you. You don't want someone exploiting your personal data and information. You don't want someone smiling in your face and working with corrupt cops, corrupt leaders, corrupt authority, corrupt church, corrupt trash behind your back. You don't want someone doing that, then you don't fucking do it. That's the lesson. This exposes the blatant, grandiose, and false sense of supremacy and entitlement because we are blah, 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 blah. We have forgotten as a people. It is utterly ludicrous and absurd. I'm going to use some fanciful words, bitch. It is absurd how easily we have fucking forgot. And become like the monsters who were monsters to us. We forgot as African American community, we were looked at as animals for a very long time, and even still, in some cases, is just covered up nice and pretty. We were looked at as animals, as freaks of nature, and we were treated that way. The problem I have with mainstream religion and many others and the issues that are arising is because many are acting just the fuck like that. They cannot be human. They don't know how to separate their own personal stance from how they show up. They don't have honor for people who are not like them. And they allow that to come out in how they treat people. The problem with people not, and it's a deep-rooted thing. I've accepted that it's deep-rooted, especially in my culture. That it's a deep-rooted colonization that some won't survive and ever live out of, and they're going to keep doing this about 1,000 times over and over again till their soul's exhausted, and they still may do it because we became our abusers, and we fight to the death for Stockholm syndrome. It's no different than when you're in a narcissistic relationship for a long time. Your ass is colonized. You can't see straight. You're trauma bonded. They got you on the abuse cycle wheel. You're addicted. That adrenaline, that dopamine. It's a hit. All you got to do is do 5 minutes of research, and you'll find out what I'm saying is truth. Which has you taken up for your abuser, protecting your abuser, lying for your abuser, covering for your abuser, doing your abuser's bidding, hurting people for your abuser. Even the abuser that you don't even perceive as an abuser because they give you presents. Tina Turner, I continue. What's love got to do with it? What's love? Let me rephrase that. What's religion got to do with it? Who needs a church when the church is breaking people? Traumatizing people. Projecting. Dehumanizing individuals, real people. Demonizing people. Getting high off of exposing or exploiting vulnerabilities, and what they call that is another word for when people are exploiting their power. It's another word. They're connects. I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and that kind of shit. They don't like disrespect, but they're disrespectful. And it's absurd. Many years ago, as like I said, I was on a certain path, and I connected with folks of my past at that time, folks that I had known for a long time and stuff like that. And we shared the faith and stuff like that, or at least so it seemed, or whatever, and we would have discussions back then, the debates on the Bible, right? Debates on what the scripture says, and how that applied to life. And back then, because like I said, I was someone who went on a journey for like 6-7 years that I was celibate, because under the leadership in the ministry in which I had come up, that was one of the things that was non-negotiable. One of the things. You're not married. You shouldn't be fucking. I mean, that was just one of the things. You shouldn't be entertaining. And we were taught this. We had our classes and courses, and given 1,000 reasons as to why, you're to not do that because it's for your protection and, the sexual energy, what happens when two lay together and doing all those things. And this is why there should be a covenant, and, you shouldn't be out here rando, you know what I'm saying, rubbing and sucking and doing things. Now, I recall having conversations with folks that was like, felt differently. They profess Christianity still to this day. Okay? But they didn't agree with that. They felt that was about interpretation. And they even joked about that, like, I'm gonna rub on whatever booty I want to rub on, and I'm gonna still go to heaven. So they felt like, hey, that's not what God said. That's not what the Bible said. That's what man said, and that was a misinterpretation. And fornication was not originally in the Bible, and you're gonna get it's a whole lot of stuff. It's a whole lot. When you really go on a journey, you find out about a whole lot of shit. A whole lot of shit that was never put in there that was there. You find out. Translations and all these crazy confusion. Underline, underscore, bold, italics, highlighter. You also find, through the very scriptures that, especially if you go and lean towards Newer Testament, then you learn about the symbolism and the variance and what one statement could very well apply to, and why. All things are lawful. Not all things are expedient. I can do all things, but not all things are good for me to do. Why? I'm not here to have a Bible study. The point that I'm making is it is fascinating. That is one of the downsides of mainstream belief systems of any sort. Cherry picking, confirmation bias, hypocrisy, double standard. See, this is the kind of stuff, because he sort of said that was disrespectful. You see how this works? Even that very comment that I just said that they said at a time where we were on like a similar same belief path and having a discussion, some would say that was a disrespectful. It's interpretation, no? It's perception. Some would have said that was kind of, that's disrespectful of the way God. That's mockery of the purity. Some would have, no? Folks don't like disrespect, but they're disrespectful. They can say and imply and do as they wish, no matter how insulting it is to you. But if you mirror the same thing, we'll see some of these people mask fall all the way off, some of them. We'll see that thing slip. Especially those who are used to people being scared of them, not saying anything. Or just won't say anything because of some kind of a payoff they get in relationship to the person, whether that's connections, networks, resources, all those things. Funny how some folks would say keep things simple, but simple really is coded for them is the way we, the way we, the way we, the way I. The way we agree things ought to be. But that same simplicity doesn't apply to do unto others as you would have them to do unto yourself. You want respect, then give it. You want someone to regard who you are and what you believe, then you regard someone else. Now, that's simple. That's simple. Isn't it simple? I didn't say it was easy, but it is simple. For people who like to say they love leaning to simplicity, well, simplicity will have you to behave the way you expect motherfuckers to behave with your ass. That's simplicity. Shooting from the hip. Because some stuff is just talking, just saying stuff. They don't know some. No, they don't. No, they don't. Especially when there's folks out here that go out their way to make things complicated for people who are different than them. That's not simplicity. And that's certainly not honoring of any so-called religion. Simplicity is upholding the Beatitudes, not just posting it on social media.
Oh, yes, I'm not.
That's simplicity. Not trying to figure out and dissect someone else's life when you can't fucking... Nose blindness. Can't smell your own fucking poop. It is disrespectful to use one's religion and positions of power to intrude on somebody that's in a vulnerable position and to intrude on anybody. That's disrespectful, and I'm going to scream that from the mountaintop. To try to convince somebody that they deserve something or they gave the devil a foothold. It's ignorance. People are speaking out of ignorance under the guise of their religion. And aside of that, it's still disrespectful to the being, no matter what the fuck they believe. To insult and put abuse, if we were to do the same thing, this is the point that I'm making. If we waited and sat back with, like a little snarling little weasel, waiting for the opportunity for somebody to have a mishap, sniffing around like a little weak bitch, so that we could step in and go, ooh, eureka. This person just went through a tragedy, lost their husband, lost their wife, lost, you know what I'm saying? People, real shit. lost a home, foreclosure, whatever may have happened to them, a sickness, an ailment, something, you know. And our weaselly asses, you know, waiting, looking like Cinderella's wicked stepmama and retarded stepsisters. Took that as some kind of opportunity to slide on in. Just ignorant. No humanity there. No warmth. No connection. Just damn ignorant. And presumptuous. Because like I said, it's ignorance. On top of heaping. Do we see the disconnect? Somebody gonna wake up one day. It's gonna bling, ding. Because so worried about trying to do a ministry. Okay, you want to do a ministry? Be a human. Put your hat on, your agenda, and be a fucking human. It's a person. These are people. People. We go around claiming we love people.
Oh, really?
Stop trying to get validation. Show up, be human, and drop it. Stop insulting people who are already going through trauma, and you may be speaking out of turn, and you may be speaking ignorance. There may be powers and things at play that you are ignorant to. While you want to sit there and convince the person who's already traumatized that this is something to do with not being on your fucking path. And you may not even be accurate about that. They may be on a path better and possibly even more closer to what you think you're close to. It's ignorance.
What?
And it's inhumane. That's disrespectful to the vulnerable population to be projected upon because they're in a vulnerable situation. And then people wanting to strip them of dignity and want them to feel some kind of way so that they can try to rebuild them the way they want. Fuck that. So they can try to rebuild them the way they, so they can try to rebuild them the way they, so they can try to rebuild them the way they, cult. Demand respect, but being disrespectful. I started spitting on this shit as a young girl. Slowly. When you're somebody that have been bullied and silenced, you know, so everybody's got a cap off. Everybody got one. When you go, enough is enough. Shut your ass, okay? Because you're ignorant. This assumption that people in vulnerable positions are lacking intelligence, are lacking anything, is again ignorance and disrespect. Listen, and it's a lack. It's just, for some of the world that doesn't mean harm. You got the bunch that don't mean any harm. Then you have the ones that's fucked up. But it's that lack of awareness. It's the conditioning. It's the colonization. It's all of it. For an example, me being a mom and me being in this kind of the situation and the situation what's going on with my son, and the things that we have to do to navigate all these various things. You sit in one office after the next, behind one desk after the next, one computer screen, one person, one so-called official, and you deal with all of these various personalities. Some of them oh shit. I'm gonna say this. I get a lot of folks that try to convince me of certain things because they know somebody that's autistic, or they worked with, even maybe let's say they worked with the autistic population, or they mom, everybody's got a story. Oh yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, that's fine. That's nice. But listen, case by case. On top of, there may be things that has maybe nothing to do with the autism. It could be things to do with abuse and tragedy. On top of a person's so-called disability. But when I run into situations where it's like, okay, someone's trying to be nice and kind and they're trying to show me that they know how to talk to him, or, whatever, I now have to step up and say, and it's because I'm losing patience. I'm still going to say it nicely. I'm still going to, that's something that I'll probably hold on until I'm out of here. I'm still going to have je ne sais quoi, decorum, with a towel on my head and a facial mask. Nigga. I said it on a post. Class ain't about a car, baby. It's an energy. I said it on a post. Honorable feminine is that bitch in a box. Toxic feminine still ain't that bitch in a mansion. And I'm going to take that to the grave. And that ain't about comparison. This is evaluation, because we're talking about energy and essence versus aesthetics, appearance, and materialism. So we can be that bitch with a towel and a facial mask. Huh? Yeah. Now. However, there's a loss of patience, because at the end of the day, I'm his mama and I know best for him. And at the end of the day, I'm the one who's dealing with him behind the scene after their little pleasantry conversation exchange with him. So because of what he's been subject to, even still, yeah, I know all about it. What he's been subject to, I'm even more like, listen, let me, okay, look. Don't say nothing to him that you ain't prepared to back up. And that's because I have to deal with that. So don't play that. See, these are the things. The reason why so many people are out of touch is because they themselves have never really had to be in certain scenarios to begin with. That's in some of these people's cases, that's out of touch, and they can't, yeah, because they have gotten used to the comforts of life as they know it, so they no longer are hashtag relatable. Disrespecting vulnerable populations because their vulnerable population is detestable, and the world should be under indictment for it. It's disgusting. It's no different than that of a panderer or a predator. I'm going to limit and restrict you so I can possibly transform you. Ain't nobody asked you to do shit except for help with what the fuck we asked you to fucking help with. Over the years, when I was talking to all these various people, including family, those I grew up with and stuff like that, there wasn't this underlining weirdy energy of me going on some kind of a fucking nigga weird ass shit so I can just transfer, you know. I still wish the best for them. I still, you know, in other words, I didn't become an active praying participant, energetic participant, or little participant in trying to interfere with their lives as they chose it. If they wanted to drink themselves into oblivion, if they wanted to gamble themselves fucking broke, if they wanted to fuck all over America, if whatever. If they wanted to go around, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't my call to make. They were still people. That was their life. And I didn't feel like their opportunities should be taken. I wasn't a little weasel. I wasn't a little slithering, snaky little weasel. Hoovering their life and shit. Trying to steal their social media because I'm jealous. Trying to block them from opportunities under the guise of my religion and my spirituality. I wasn't doing that. I was too busy trying to worry about my life. You know, scripture, work out your own salvation. I was too busy trying to work on my own salvation with fear and trembling than to be sitting up there hoovering and being the examiner of theirs. They don't like disrespect, but they are disrespectful. This is it. Your luck is just running. And this is all the disrespectful behavior. Exploiting our privacy, exploiting vulnerability, illegally stalking and surveilling, paying people to do that, pretending to not do that, doing baneful occult ritual abuse on a disabled person and their mother. In some cases, all due to jealousy. All of this is disrespectful. Smiling in our face, all the while want to take our place, backstabbers, that's disrespectful. disregarding our wishes, who we are as people, and our own autonomy, as in other words, attempting to play God. That's disrespectful. Trying to force conformity by way of circumstance, that's disrespectful. And then to lie about all of it and it's all in the same breath, pretending to care, that is super duper disrespectful. Calling it a mission ministry that's disrespectful. My ministry ain't messing with your life to get you to transform to think what I feel it should be based on what I believe. That's ignorance, God complex, Jezebel, insecurity, and some other shit. And I'm not talking about religified Jezebel as you all know it, because we were taught some things about it that I don't agree with. I'm talking about the entity. I'm talking about the narc. That's basically what that is. An insatiable thirst for control and power and adoration and authority to such a magnitude that they become corrupt. The sacrificing of the innocent. That's what that thing is. And it can say Holy Bible, hallelujah, Jesus, Jesus, and it still be that. Harvesting, siphoning off of the young. Off of the innocent. Taking advantage of vulnerability. That's still what that is. That's still what that is. That's detestable. It's a beautiful thing when we're honoring. It's a horrible thing when we are taking advantage. When we're exploiting it. For our own benefit. They don't like disrespect, but they're disrespectful. Folks like myself and my son in this world, we're supposed to continue to want to talk to people, hang out with people, do dinner with people that maybe we care for and we attempted, but they have no respect for who we are. We're then looked upon as individuals who are, avoidant, fickle. You get all sorts of labels stamped on you because you don't want to put up with that. See you later, guys. Good. Because it's not about changing people. That's the fight and the war that many of us have spent a lifetime in. That's futile. We'll never get anywhere with that. We just have to continue to evolve ourselves and come to acceptance. Like, hey, you may want to reconnect with this, hey, okay, what are they displaying? What are they showing you? What are they showing you? You deserve love and honor and respect and care. And if that's not there, I had a stranger display sensitivity to me and my son today. A stranger. I mean, absolute stranger. I have no history with whatsoever.
The twists and turns continue for our heroes as they make their way toward Blackthorn City, where ashes.
Somebody say, well, they could have been possibly in on it. Sure. At this point, it wouldn't shock me. But the point that I'm making is they were able, whether that was fake and manufactured or sincere, they were able to simply show up,
Incorrect.
sense, discern, and feel into the nature and the situation with my son and myself. And without me asking, they extended because they saw the beauty of my son and of me. And they heard and could sense and see what's been going on and wanted to do something that wasn't much, but wanted to. They wanted to. I didn't have to be a beggar. I didn't have to.
So sorry about that.
I didn't have to experience any of that. They wanted to put a smile on his face. They wanted to do something in compassion and empathy for him.
What's that, Rochelle? There we go.
And if a strange motherfucker, if somebody who does not have any history with me at all whatsoever could display that because of their humanness, then how much more should those who fucking know us? And I'm going to mic drop right there.